Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am Brother Minister Cepeda. I always start each and every single video by requesting that you guys visit my website at treeoflifeoutreach.com. It is a holistic ministry that I have been called to establish and operate, and the purpose of the mission of the ministry is for me to provide you guys with nourishment for your mind, your body, and your spirit. So it's a holistic ministry, and the strategies and tactics and the tools that I utilize in order for me to achieve this purpose is philosophical consultations, ISSA certified fitness training, in conjunction with I'll get to that lapse here in a moment. So it's philosophical consultations, ISSA certified fitness training, and clean heart. It's important that I reference clean heart, spiritual teachings and practices. The reason I say clean hearted because obviously we live in a day and times where some people are doing some things from a spiritual standpoint that are unclean, or what we would refer to as from the dark side or evil. And the mishap that I almost mentioned in there out of a proper sequence is the fact that I also provide services of youth and young adult mentoring and counseling, and I also provide services of inspirational and motivational teachings. So those are some services that I offer as well, but they too fall under the umbrella of the philosophical consultations, which is everything falls under that with me. It's not based on academia, it's not scholarly. So everything that I do, all the ways that I move in life is based on experiential philosophy, my experiential philosophies, as well as the research, the studies and practices that I implement in my own life. So that's the website, treeoflifeoutreach.com. Go there, familiarize yourself with the services. Click on, read the bio and be inspired by the bio, which is the primary reason that I reference it each and every time. Because once you read the bio, you'll understand, you'll know that why it's so important for me to glorify my Heavenly Father for all that He's done and for all that He continues to do with me in my life and in my journey. And if He did it for me, He'll do it for you. I promise you. So if you know of anyone that needs a word of encouragement, surely I did nothing to deserve the mercy, the grace, the forgiveness, the protection, the provision. I did nothing to deserve that. So there's someone out there that needs to read that and to know that irregardless of what you're doing, irregardless of what you've done, mistakes, failures, doesn't matter how many times you've fallen, doesn't matter who betrayed you, doesn't matter who walked out on you, doesn't matter how tired you are. So long as you can just find a way to keep winning one moment at a time, to keep focusing on that particular moment, stay in that moment, and I guarantee you he'll get you through. If you think about it, you can't sit here and tell me or anyone else any situation that He has not brought you through. So He's always going to bring you through. And He didn't carry you through the way you wanted Him to or the way you expected Him to, but He carried you through. If He didn't, you wouldn't be sitting there now. So check out the website. I'm going to touch very briefly on this topic. I'm not sure what I'm going to title this video yet, but basically what it's about is, even though it's a new day and a new age, it's the same old drama, the same old tactics, what one might often refer to as witchcraft that's being used against us. So it's new day, new era, same strategy being applied against us. The same strategies of divide and conquer. The same strategy of sending us down paths that are self-destructive. Sending us infecting us with a belief system that is like a germ in our lives that we're not born with. We're not born with. So it's the same strategy, it's the same tactic, and it's basically being done by the same people. And so we find ourselves in 2020 being subjected to the same thing that was going on in 1820 and 1220 and all this BC and AD, just as far back as mankind has been on the planet, minus the golden era or the golden age, which were the days when men were truly free, truly had relationships with the divine creator and things of that nature. And the fall of that was often referred to as the day that Eve bit the apple. So however you view it from a religious, philosophical, or scientific basis, there was a time when mankind was thriving, flourishing, operating holistically, everything balanced and synthesized, everything being organic with regards to our behavior, our outlooks, our approaches in life, our intentions. And then something happened where mankind fell. And ever since that moment, there has been this push to keep us in this fallen state. And this push, way back in the day, it may have been called this or it may have been called that, but at the end of the day, it was all designed to do as previously stated, send us down the wrong path, introduce things, germs into our lives via thoughts and deeds that move towards arrogance, ignorance, lust, greed, fear, anger, jealousy, all these things. Now that's been the goal that this small, tight-knit group have sought to this has been their goal all along. This has been their plan for the masses. And it's worked repeatedly. The strategies that they've used the tactics to achieve this goal was, way back in the day, they misused words like honor. And just based on honor and a man being true to his words, they were able to send thousands, if not millions, to the graves. Because out of this misguided belief of the word honor, that was perpetrated to mean something that it does not mean. So men were and still are, unfortunately, willing to die for this notion of honor. Honor for your word. You gave your word and you have to honor that. Now, I'm all about honoring your word. But if you gave your word that you was going to be at a party and then you got word that they were going to kill you at that party, you're not obligated to go to that party. But because your honor, what about the people you gave your word to? So this system has utilized things such as that to keep us separated, to keep us divided, and to help us hang ourselves by going over that cliff in the name of honor. It's also did stuff like, say for example, back when we were growing up, people in my age group, few years older, several years older, maybe a few years younger, our thing was the tactic and strategy that they used against us, say, perhaps was gangster movies. We were all moved and thrilled by gangster movies. Robbing banks, watching John Dillinger and Pretty Boy Floyd and Al Capone. And this narrative was pushed at us all the time, whether it was the books, Donald Goings and Iceberg Slim, you name it. They were steering us down a path and making this untruth appear as truth to us. This is the way men live. This is the way men do. This is the way men conduct themselves. A brave man would be willing to go and lay down his life for his country. All these different things were pushed our way, and they led us down a path to where we woke up one day and we were either killers in the hood, or we were killers on Wall Street, or we were killers in the U.S. Armed Forces. We were all these things as a people, maybe not as individuals, or maybe not as you or me specifically, but as I'm speaking collectively. So these things were kind of fed to us as the bread and butter of how we should be, how we should conduct ourselves. And it was all a lie. And some of us woke up in our, depending on what was the appropriate time that you woke up, but some of us woke up and then realized, hey man, this is a bunch of baloney. We woke up and realized that it was some tools being used against us, because pimping ain't cool. Pimping is actually just a flat out sad excuse for a man. But this was taught to us in the hood. Robbing banks ain't cool, but that's what was taught to maybe a different social demographic. Cheating and scheming and scamming to get on top of Wall Street ain't cool, but that's what was sold to perhaps a different demographic. And it affected us until we really woke up one day and said, man, it's a bunch of nonsense. And some people call all of those different things a form of brainwashing, a form of witchcraft. Because witchcraft is simply when a person set out with ill intentions to affect the way that a person thinks, feels, behaves, and view reality or view their circumstances. Now, if you're setting out, so anyone that's setting out with ill intentions to influence the way a person thinks, the way they view their society, the choices they're going to make, all these different things, that's witchcraft, whether you know it or not. So if you have ill intentions in which you set out to control one of those things in someone else's life, then you're partaking in witchcraft. That, by its truest and most basic definition, is what witchcraft consists of. And so, from generation to generation, the tactics and the strategies that were implemented simply changed. So for now, there's no Donald Goines books or the strategies that they use to influence people to lie and steal and chill and steal to get to the top of Wall Street. That may not exist anymore. But they have replaced it with something more advanced. I think one of the things everybody is striving for now is the Silicon Valley. So they've replaced the books, they've replaced the different programs and the different card games. They've replaced that with computers and Ouija boards. So it's something that's being sold to society as a whole to influence the way they think, the way they feel, the way they view their society, etc., etc. So even though the times have changed, the same old strategies are being implemented. And there's nothing thrilling or exciting about it, particularly for those who are wise enough and those who are experienced enough. They've been on the planet long enough to see that's just a different form of that. And that is just an extension of that. It's all nonsense. it's like the killing, say killing someone. Back in the days, they had swords. Then from that, they went to muskets. And then from that, they went to automatic weapons. And then from that, and so forth and so on. But the primary objective remains the same: how to kill someone. So as technology increased, the different tools utilized to bring about a certain outcome, they've changed and advanced with the times. So you don't no longer need a spear. You don't no longer need a shoot 'em up, bang bang Al Capone movie back in the 1970s. It's been replaced with the shoot 'em up, bang bang DVDs that the kids watch. Crime Theft Auto or whatever the ones that they're doing now, where they're just being brainwashed, just as the generation before them was brainwashed by different means. So I wanted to bring this topic to the forefront because it's important. I'm a huge believer that wisdom, knowledge is power. But knowledge, when applied, becomes wisdom. And wisdom is all powerful. So knowledge is powerful, but wisdom is all powerful. So it all starts with us getting this information out, taking this information in, researching it, studying it, making our own critical analysis, and reaching our own thinking based on that critical analysis. So again, for those of us who've seen it, who've been there and kind of seen the generations come and go, you remember when only girls got their ear pierced. Then you live to where then men start getting their ear pierced more and more, and it was just one ear. Then men are getting both ear pierced. You remember when people were rolling just one little paper joint. And then you remember when people went to smoking blunts. You remember when some of the more harsher drugs came into the communities or came into society as a whole. And you remember when they came and had an incredible negative impact. And you can see now they are not prevalent like they once were. You remember when food stamps and welfare first was presented, and then you saw it have its heyday, for lack of a better term, and now you see that it's almost non-existent. For a person that have seen these changes, lived through these changes, it's not pleasurable at all, because you're able to see how this group of people is being manipulated just like that group of people and just like that group of people before them. Just different arms of the same octopus, different, more high-tech gadgets and more well thought out ways to match up with the times in order to get the job done. You remember when there was no such thing as a cell phone. Now people can't go 10, 30 seconds. You see them, they run back into the store, left their cell phone. They'll turn around and drive back to the house, left their cell phone. So for those people who have been immersed in knowledge and thoughtfulness and awareness, regardless of how long they have been immersed in it enough to flash back and see, man, this Ouija board, they got people practicing witchcraft. That's the same thing when they was promoting gangsters on the street. That's the same thing when they was promoting dog eat dog world in order to get to the top of Hollywood. So we can utilize this information, and we can apply this information, and so that we go from being knowledgeable to all out wise, and that wisdom can resonate out. And when people can see you and speak with you, they can tell that there's something about you that they want to be a part of. They may not be courageous enough to reach out and say it or step up and say it, but they want to be a part of that. And it's just your job to sit there, and my job to sit there in our wisdom and wait for the opportunity to drop a gem here, to drop a gem there. And for every little gem we drop, it's up to them to absorb it and nourish it and then pursue it. But our job is done. Once we drop a gem here, there are some that'll circle back and say, man, you know what, I checked that out, or that made good sense, and what do you think about this? And you can repeat that process. So it's important that we know these things, and that's basically the sole reason for me bringing it to make a video about it, because some of us know it, and some of us don't really, really know it. We have kind of said that, man, times are lost, and these kids going wild. You know what? We were going wild. We were going wild. It was just on a different level, in a different form, a different oscillation, but we were going wild too. And the powers that be, they just continue to change up their game, change up their tactics and maneuvers, but the strategy and the end game is always the same. So again, what are we going to do with this? We can have this knowledge and just look for the opportunities, or sometimes we have to just be bold and create an opportunity. You might just see some guys or some girls that are doing something that they don't realize what they're doing, and you might have to say, you know what? It's not about being politically correct. It's not even about necessarily minding my own business. It's about me saying that this business is my business, because I was endowed with this wisdom. I researched this wisdom. I've tried in a certain lifestyle. I have attained this wisdom. What good does it do me if I don't express it? So you see somebody doing something or believing something or partaking in something that you know is unwise. Sometimes you have to just make a way, politely, respectfully, but sometimes you have to just find a way to say, hey, look, this, that, and the other. I see y'all talking about playing with a Ouija board, or I see y'all saying y'all don't mind doing whatever it takes to get to the top. Now, I'm all about getting to the top by any righteous means. But if it's unrighteous, then you can only reap that which you have planted. So that's a perfect segue into the fact that whatever we put out, we're going to get back. So put that wisdom out. Don't let that wisdom just walk around with you and be espoused within the four walls of your home. Espouse it. Look for opportunities. There's opportunities for you to drop a gem here, drop a gem there. Just tickle their imagination. Just tickle their interest. Just tickle and stimulate their intellect. Because we can't just shove this on anybody, because then they become, chances are they'll become angry about it, uncomfortable about it, and all out despondent. So that's my call for you guys today. My call and my encouragement to you guys today is to walk in this wisdom. Walk in this wisdom. Wisdom is a walk. It's a walk. We have this knowledge. We have to walk in it. So let us be mindful of this knowledge. If you've already had this information, fair play to you. I salute you. But if you didn't already have it, hey, here it is. I offer it up as a kind gesture to say, hey man, look, did you know that basically when we are intentionally or not or unintentionally denigrating these young kids, these kids doing crazy, these thugs, these so-and-so whatever race shooting up schools, they done went crazy. We done went crazy. It's just we went crazy in a different way at a different time, and it was shown in different ways. Now they same gone crazy, different time, different ways, and they're expressing it by shooting up movie theaters and killing up a whole bunch of innocent people. But they ain't the first generation that did that. Whatever nonsense and foolishness we were doing was way out of line for that time and that era for which we were doing it. So just know this information, be informed, walk in the wisdom, nourish that wisdom, express that wisdom. And if you see somebody doing something or somebody saying something, sometimes that's the thing with some of the older churches. Sometimes they're putting these kids down, or this younger generation down, and they should be disciplined and taken to the carpet with some of the foolishness that they do. But we also got to let them know there is a grace and a mercy, because we're living proof of that. We had done our fair share of nonsense in a different way, in a different time, but we did it. And that same small group of people who know how to manipulate people and send them down the wrong paths and pump information out there so to get people to be distracted and whatnot, it's the same tactics. It's the same exact tactic by the same people. So for those of us who know, let's share the information. Let's walk in that wisdom, and let's do it boldly and unapologetically. Obviously, we're going to be respectful. We're going to be careful. We're going to be mindful. We're not going to get reckless, and we're going to try to make sure we avoid any possible oversights to the best of our ability and things of that nature. But wisdom is a walk, so let's walk in it. That's what I have for you guys today. I am Brother Minister Cepeda. I don't know all of y'all, but I do love all of y'all. That is as real can get. Here's a motto and a mantra that I live by every single day of my life, and that is, if you are feeling bad, and everybody has felt bad before, so let's not front. But if you're feeling bad, I challenge you to go out and make somebody else feel good, and I guarantee you will in turn immediately feel better. The moment you make someone else who's feeling bad, you make them feel good, you will spontaneously feel better. If you are already feeling good and you go find someone who's feeling bad and make them feel good, then you will go from feeling good to feeling phenomenal. That's just the way this thing works, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Visit the website. Be encouraged. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe. And I will holler back. Leave a comment too. Thanks, guys. I love y'all. Peace.